Hi there, Kamran. Nice to see that you've sent us an essay for correction. Let's take a look and see what you've done here. News stories on TV and in newspapers are very often accompanied by pictures. Some say that these pictures are more effective than word. What is your opinion about this? Okay, well, let's see what you said. Sometimes pictures are more advantageous than words. Therefore, TV and newspaper are including these pictures in their news stories. I am completely in favor of this because pictures and visual retained more in mind as compared to audios. Okay. Well, the structure of your introduction is okay, but there are mistakes throughout the paragraph which create some incoherence, and it doesn't create the strongest first impression that I imagine you would like to create. So, first of all, this word is wrong here, advantageous. You can't say that pictures are more advantageous. You could say more effective, which is what was here in the prompt, but you don't want to do that because you don't want to copy. Pictures are more beneficial, maybe, or pictures are more, I don't know, more meaningful. You could say that. That's not the same word. So sometimes pictures are more meaningful than words. Okay? Full stop. As a result, TV and newspapers are including these pictures in their news stories. I am completely in favor of this. Get rid of that comma and get rid of this full stop. Because pictures and visual, visual what? Visuals, plural. Visual aids, visual references, something. But you can't just say visual. So pictures and visual references are retained more in mind as compared, and you can't just say audio. It should be audio without the S, but you can't say that because newspaper isn't an audio means. So that's incorrect. So you want to say something more like pictures and visual references are retained more in the mind as compared to audio or written material. Okay? That's how you can correct this. All right, so firstly, excuse me, visual memory is stronger than audio memory. As we know, when people watch some videos or some pictures on TV, newspaper, or in some, all right, that's a fragment. That's not a full sentence. Because this clause here starts with when, and we assume that there's going to be a second part of the sentence. Maybe that's what this next sentence is supposed to do, and they're supposed to go together. Let's try reading it like that. So as we know, when people watch videos or pictures on TV, newspapers, or in storybooks, they could easily memorize them and retain them in their mind for a longer period of time as compared to audio. All right, that's what you needed to do. So one sentence here, get rid of these some and some here. For example, when people watch any movie in the cinema or at home, they can easily memorize it and recall it even after so many years. So pictures and visuals are more effective with an E than words or audio. Get rid of this S. Okay, so you're saying that the reason why news stories are using photos is because people can memorize this information better? All right, it's not the most plausible argument, okay? Why would the TV or newspaper care if you remember it? Like, what's the point? So I'm not really fully convinced of this argument you're making. Now, I know that a lot of people say IELTS is not an idea, it's not an idea test, but it's a language test. And that's true. But you do also want to make sure that your arguments are plausible, that they can be believed, and that they make sense. Because when they don't make sense, then the examiner is going to question that maybe you've misunderstood the task in some way. You don't want that to happen. Let's see your second paragraph. Secondly, pictures in newspapers or TV help to build up the interest of the audience. I don't understand this moving towards this. That doesn't make any sense. the TV industry, no, the TV and newspaper industry is a very big market. Nowadays, it is important for them to connect with the audience. In this way, the audience will follow them and not switch to any other channel or newspaper. People also understand the details of stories when it has some pictures in it. For instance, students in universities or in colleges does not like a book or subject which is very dry, does not contain any pictures or diagrams, so they lose their interest in that subject as compared to that subject or books which has some diagrams which help them to understand that topic. Okay, I wanted to read this whole paragraph through just to see if just to see a variety of things, really. And the fact is that it is full of errors. So I'm not really sure what score you need to get for IELTS, but this had a lot of grammatical errors. It was difficult to follow, so it created some incoherence. And again, it's not the kind of language that's going to allow you to get one of those higher band scores. Partially because of that, the grammar and the coherence of this essay. Okay, so now that we've kind of come to some sort of a conclusion about that, let's see if we can fix some of the language here. So, secondly, pictures in newspapers or TV help to build up the interest of the audience, full stop. And then you said that it's a very big market. I didn't understand that sentence at all. What's a very big market? Do you mean that the people who read newspapers and watch TV are a very big market? So you need to say that. Nowadays, it is very important for them, I don't know who them is, to connect with the audience. This made no sense to me. In this way, full stop here. In this way, the audience will follow them and not switch to, in which way? What are you saying? Like if they connect to the audience, but how are they going to connect to the audience? So I'm really not understanding this at all. I think what you're trying to say is that pictures are an effective way for newspapers and television broadcasts to connect to the reader or viewer and to really create an emotional connection with that viewer. Because this is a very large market, it's very important for the media to connect with its audience. This way, they will not switch to another channel or switch to another newspaper. So it's an effective kind of way to keep the customer, as it were. I think this is what you're trying to say, but it's really not very fluently laid out. Okay, then you said people also understand the details of stories when they, because it's stories, when they have some pictures in them. And then this is irrelevant. I mean, because we're not concerned with university books and if they have pictures or not. We're talking about news stories on TV and on in the newspaper. So this is an irrelevant example. I think it makes a lot more sense if you talk about some sort of an example that's relevant to news. Like, for example, maybe you could talk about famine in the world. Maybe, you know, that there are some countries suffering from famine, and when you see pictures of children starving or, you know, of adults starving, this makes it really seem much more real, and the audience understands the human component of it. So you needed to say an example more like that rather than college books, which is totally irrelevant. All right, so to conclude, pictures are more beneficial than words. It remains, or rather not it, but they, because you said pictures. So they remain in our memory and increase the interest of the audience, All right, I would have liked an extra sentence here, just one more, all right, because I'm not really a huge fan of paragraphs that are just one sentence. In fact, you shouldn't have a paragraph that's just one sentence. So we want at least one more here. So I think I've covered this essay in detail. I think I explained to you that there are a few things happening here. One is your grammar, which is problematic. The second thing is some strain that is created for the reader. We're not really understanding your message completely. There could be some extra work on the development of your ideas, making sure that what you're trying to say is coming across, and also just kind of combine them better too. Combine some of the ideas, use some more appropriate linkers. All right. So I would love to see you on the course. I think that if you had the template and you had all the different sentence structures that are recommended in the course, it would really be of great benefit to you. So look into that as an option. See if that's something you can sign up for. And I hope we get to see more of your work in the future. Good luck.